All right, we're back on Holly Jolly. It's 11:05, about to be 11:06 here at WCRX, and we are about to be interviewing the Illinois Secretary of State, Jesse White. So over the past 16 years, one of the event's biggest supporters has been our Illinois Secretary of State. In fact, he's joined us every year at the event, and keeping that holiday tradition going today is Secretary White. Welcome back to Holly Jolly.
Hey, glad to be on board.
Absolutely. So I want to get right to this. Why is Holly Jolly something that you consistently continue to show up to Columbia for?
Well, first of all, I want to commend and thank Columbia College for their giving and caring spirit and for making a difference in the lives of those in need. It's important for us to make sure that we provide food stuff for those who don't have the means by which they could feed themselves. Mm-hmm. And so I believe that when you come through this world and you become successful, you give back. But every day you must do something good for someone. That's how I run my life.
Absolutely.
So I actually, I was in a covering elections class and actually covered your race. So I kept retweeting your stuff, and I saw you followed me on Twitter. So it's kind of,
they say in the neighborhood, you the man.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. I meet you. You follow me on Twitter, so now I can meet you in person.
Well. I just want to stay in touch with my constituents. I've had the great pleasure of serving as the Illinois Secretary of State for the past 20 years, but I was a lawmaker for 16 years, the Cook County Recorder of Deeds, the second largest Recorder of Deeds office in the nation for 6 years, 20 years as your Secretary of State. Now you've given me an additional 4 years. And then I played professional baseball in the Cub organization for 8 years.
Really?
Served in the military as a paratrooper, guardsman and reservist for 10 years. And taught school for 33 years, and been the coach and founder of the Jesse White Tubman team for exactly 59 years. I just believe that when we have these young people in our midst, we have to do all we can to help them go tall and straight and become a productive force in society.
That's one of the fullest lives that I think I've heard. You've really done it all, and that's really awesome in my eyes.
Yeah, it's great. So, with your re-election for your sixth term, what new rules should motorists be aware of in 2019?
Well, first of all, I want to remind our young people who are graduated from high school, they've gone off to college, and they want to put themselves in a posture by which they can, care for themselves and be a positive force in society. One of the worst things that they could ever do, and that is to buy or purchase a fake driver's license or state ID. Here in Illinois, the fine is between $5,000 to $25,000. You lose your license for a year, and then after you graduated from college and you want to get a job, they'll do a background check on you, and they'll find out that there's fraud on your license. So I urge everyone who is going off to college, make sure that you never, ever purchase a fake ID or a fake driver's license. One of the things that we're doing this year, or starting next year, and that is we're using what is called the Dutch Reach. It's a procedure by which when you are opening your car, primarily in an area where bicyclists travel, you reach over your body with your right hand, and that will cause you to have to look back to make sure that a bicyclist is not in your path. One of the worst things that happens with bicyclists is that they get doored,
mm-hmm.
and that's the bad experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing that we're doing, and that is starting on January 1, we're requiring parents to make sure that when their kids are between 1 to 2 years of age, are facing the rear of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And we found that our young people from 1 to 13, the easiest or the greatest cause of loss of life is automobile crashes. And so we want them to live a longer, productive life. We want to make sure we do all we can to make sure that they are properly cared for.
Especially with nowadays everyone's texting and driving. The phones are a huge distraction.
Well,
yeah,
I introduced a bill in the Illinois General Assembly that, and they passed it, and it is a part of law where you cannot text and drive, and you cannot use your cell phone in school zones or in construction zones. I believe that when you are on your cell phone, and but the question is asked, who's driving the car? No one. So we want them to understand that texting and driving is a distraction, and they should not ever do that while operating an automobile.
Yeah, we play PSAs on the station all the time about designate a texter even, or put it on silent, put it out of harm's way, and that really is an important thing because, like you said, the number one cause of adolescent deaths is automobile accidents. So that is a very important topic to discuss.
And even like the new cars now, I mean, you shouldn't be like talking driving, but the new cars have Bluetooth, and it kills me to see it because you see people texting and driving when you know you have Bluetooth in your car, and you could, if you had to do it, you could be safer about it. But
just calling somebody.
yeah, you can just say voice commands to your car, but people would still use their phone instead of saying voice commands.
Well, sometimes even when you're using the Bluetooth, you have the tendency to become so engrossed and involved in the conversation that you sometimes forget about the task that is before you, and that is to operate the automobile properly and to get from point A to point B.
So another project that you've launched recently is to create a permanent record of the names and stories of Illinois war veterans. How did you decide to get involved in the collection of these stories?
Well, I served in the military not once, not twice, but 3 times. I was a paratrooper with the 101st Airborne Division. I used to jump out of perfect good airplanes, did 35 jumps while I was in the service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. And I just thought that with all of the stories, the war stories, and the experiences that the veterans have had while serving in the military, that those stories should be told and they should be warehoused. So what we do is we ask veterans and their loved ones to fill out the form, and then we put it in our archive, and then that information is shared with the Library of Congress so that there's a permanent record. So you don't necessarily have to be the military person. You could be the son, the daughter, the aunt, the uncle, or someone who is familiar with some of the stories that were shared with them by the one who served.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
I also want to share with you, too, there's a young lady by the name of Beth Kaufman. Beth Kaufman is my deputy press secretary, and she's a graduate of this wonderful institution of learning, and she's here with me today, and I just thought that I should share that with you.
You can come on mic and say hello if you want to. But, yeah. So, outside of your public life, of course, you mentioned that you founded the Jesse White Tumblers, and we got a couple more minutes, but can you just kind of explain to us what has surprised you most over the years about the Tumblers in particular?
Well, first of all, I started the program 59 years ago. I was a gymnast as a kid, taught gymnastics in college, taught for the Board of Education at Park District YMCA, and out of professional baseball with the club organization, I was asked to put on a gym show, and from the one gym show in December 1959 came this program. We've had over 18,000 young people to come through this program. Right now, we have 300 young people on the team. We have 51 young people of our tumblers are in college, and we give each one between $3,000 to $8,000 toward their education. You can be a good athlete once you be a good student and a good human being. And these young people must adhere to our rules and regulations, like no drinking, smoking, swearing, dropping out of school, or just liking anyone because of race, creed, or color. Mm-hmm. That is the ugliest card in the deck. Cannot play that one, yet remain a part of my program. What has surprised me about the tumblers? A lot of these young people go off and have become a positive force in society. Doctors, lawyers, the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I was at a Chicago Bulls game recently, and they came out and performed during a stoppage of play, and they were really good. They looked good, and they've continued to look good every time you see them on TV or you're at an event. It's always consistent, and they definitely know what they're doing, so they definitely take it seriously.
Well, we're proud of the fact that we've traveled taking these young people to Zagreb, Croatia, Belize, Israel, China, Tokyo, Japan, Hong Kong, Honolulu, Hawaii, Honokai, Hawaii, 70 times to Canada, twice to the Cayman Islands, 4 movies, 4 plays, and 25 commercials.
That's
a lot
amazing.
of publicity.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then when you go to the Bulls game, the gentlemen who do the slam dunk, those are members of the Jesse White Tubman team as well.
Yeah, you got to be agile to do the trampoline jump.
And then we have eight units, so we do 1,500 shows a year.
That's amazing. Before we get out of here, because we're almost out of time, can you just tell us a little bit? What's your favorite part of the holidays?
The giving and caring spirit. For example, you have the Greater Food Depository. When I was a lawmaker, I introduced a bill in the Illinois Journal Assembly that would allow people who produce food stuff, like canned goods, when they would mislabel the can, they used to throw those into the landfill. I passed a bill that said that we don't want you to throw them into the landfill. We want you to donate it to the companies like the greater organizations like the Greater Food Depository, so that those items could be used properly. Then I passed another bill in the Illinois General Assembly that if you happen to have a banquet, you have 500 chicken Kievs, and only 400 people showed up, you have another 100 left. So you can call like organizations like the Pacific Guard Mission and donate those items to them as well. And the same thing holds true with grocery stores and restaurants.
Mr. White, thank you for coming by and continuing to support Holly Jolly after all these years.
Well, I just want to thank you for your giving and caring spirit and for making a difference in the lives of those in need.
You got to do what we can.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. And right now we're going to jump into a song by Chicago artist Sarah Kay, her rendition of Jingle Bells.